Hi everyone, it's Kenzie Knox and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I will be learning how to paint this nice little forest nymph. So sit back, relax, and let's start painting. To begin off with, I started with a black canvas. This is an old canvas that I decided to paint over. So just simply take your canvas and paint black all over it. Once it's dry or semi-dry like mine is, I've added a few colors here to my canvas, including light ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, some aqua, some rose, some rouge, some turquoise, some burnt sienna, some hunter green, and even some scarlet red. Oh, and don't forget about your titanium white and perhaps some dioxazine purple as well. So just add these colors as we go. I think it'll make it a lot easier. Starting off with our size 2 flat brush, I'm going to go ahead, get that wet, tap off the drips, pick up some titanium white and draw a little circular shape right here on the top middle portion of the canvas. This is going to be basically our lightest point or our source of light for our painting today, and so this could be the moon, or we're just lightening up this area of the canvas. Just follow me along. As I grab more white, I am simply taking my paintbrush and creating a larger circle as we go out to gradually increase the brightness of this area. I believe at this point my canvas is still slightly wet, so it's turning that white into gray, which is perfectly fine. Now dipping into our hunter green, we're just going to create a little pathway stemming from this light source. So creating a little zigzag, and remember about perspective, so the pathway is going to be very skinny and sharp, I guess you could say. The turns will be very sharp the farther away it is from us, and then it's going to come towards us. So we're going to bring one of those side lines over towards the edge of our canvas, about 1/2 inch to 1 inch up from the bottom on the right side, and then it'll come more towards a little left of the center on the other side. We'll eventually paint this in with our burnt sienna and titanium white, so don't worry too much about the green color. I am painting this image or this painting from my imagination, so just flow with me here. Switching to my size 8 flat brush, I'm going to grab some additional hunter green. You can skip this step. I am just marking out my pathway that I want to create. I eventually will switch over to burnt sienna, so give me 1 second here. There we go. So grab some burnt sienna on your brush, and we'll just create a pathway. Make sure you're creating scoops along the pathway to make it look like the path is kind of sunken in towards the center, like a worn pathway. So taking some titanium white and burnt sienna, and we're just going to create this pathway, which will get darker as it comes towards us and lighter as it goes away towards us, towards the light source. Grabbing some additional burnt sienna, I'm just going to create the horizon line here, which we can create some mountains in this background, and I believe we'll create some hillsides too. These mountains will later be done in purple, just keep that in mind. I'm just sketching out my painting or mapping it out. So I'll have 2 mountains on the left, 2 mountains on the right. And next I grab some dioxazine purple and some titanium white, and I'm just mixing that up on the canvas and filling in my little mountain sides that I created. Since the light source is in the center of the painting, we're going to create the mountains lighter towards the center of the canvas than the ones farther away from the center of the canvas. But we will give these mountain sides some sort of shading and highlights. However, it's not really necessary, I realized in the end of the painting, so it's up to you on how much detail you want to create. You can simply fast forward and create the forest and then create the nymph if you'd like. Based on the fact that the light source is in the middle, again, the mountain on the far right will be lighter than the mountain on the far left. And once you've filled in your mountains, go ahead and wash off your paintbrush and grab some phthalo blue and titanium white, and we're going to begin painting in the sky. So I'm just going in the circular motion since that little area in the center is circular, radiating that light in a circular motion. You can do it just horizontal strokes if you'd like, but I found this the easiest way to do it. So starting from the lightest point in the center and getting darker as we gradually move out towards the outside of the painting, that's the method I went with. Continue blending in the phthalo blue and titanium white until you're satisfied with the gradient that you've created. This took several tries as the paint in the center, you want that to be white and yellow. Well, that's what I'm going for. And then blue, so I try to create a light gradient, if you will. In the end, I just created these white strokes going upwards, and then I'll fix it later. Please keep in mind that you can slow this video down using the YouTube little geeker thing up in the top right-hand corner, and then click the video speed, and you could do normal or slower or faster, whichever you prefer. And you can also just skip ahead too. You can always wait for your paint to dry as well. So go ahead and rinse off your brush, grab some ultramarine blue and some titanium white, and we're just going to go over some of these mountains using our brush on a sideways sort of fashion so that all the bristles are face down towards the canvas so that we can create this snow-like appearance on the shadowed side of the mountains. Adding some more titanium white to that phthalo blue and ultramarine blue, we're going to create the highlighted side of the mountain now using that same side stroke fashion with the paintbrush. You can also use a palette knife if you'd like. Just remember the light source is in the center of the canvas, so the left side of the right mountains will be highlighted and the right side of the left mountains will be highlighted. Next, we're going to grab some ultramarine blue straight by itself and just create some darker crevices on our mountain sides. Again, most of this will be covered, so don't worry too much about this. This is a good time to practice your mountains if you'd like, but if not, you can just skip ahead. After rinsing out your brush, take some titanium white and we'll just add some final additional highlights to the center areas of our mountains. Then you can rinse out your brush again and grab some titanium white and some hooker's green or hunter's green or whatever green you're using, and we're just going to draw in our hillside. Again, this mostly will be covered by the trees that we create in our forest, so don't worry about this too much. You can even skip this step if you'd like. I'm just going to fast forward through it. Basically, I just filled it in with green and white, and we'll go from there. Once you've basically blocked in your hillside, go ahead and rinse out your brush, and we're going to dip into our black. This can be Mars black or whatever you prefer. We're just going to create some trees on this hillside, so just little taps and dabs along the edge, and then eventually move in towards the center using green, and then more black and even purple maybe. Now that we filled in all the areas closest towards the light source, we're going to dip into our dioxazine purple and paint the shadow trees farthest away from the light source. So just continue tapping these in. You can have the trees on the bottom of the hill larger than the trees farther away towards the top of the hill or even center of the hill. That's what I did here, just created a gradual gradation in size from largest to smallest, starting from the largest in front, smallest in back. Like I said, most of this will be covered by the forest, but it is good practice. Adding some light permanent green and lime green to my palette, I'm going to take the light permanent green and add in some different shades of green on the mountainside. You can fast forward through this process. This will not be showing much in your painting. I will then go in afterwards using the lime green to highlight the trees in closest to the light source. Once you're happy highlighting your trees, go ahead and rinse out your brush, and then we're going to dip into our green or a hunter green and draw in some hills that are closer towards us, like towards the foreground, and just paint those in real quickly. We'll add the texture in afterwards. Using that same flat brush, we're going to go ahead and grab some lime green, and we're going to just do some flicks upwards just to indicate that there is some grass right there. We will go over this later on, so don't worry about that. I'm just adding some highlights right now towards the top of the hillsides. And now grabbing some dioxazine purple and some burnt sienna, we're going to go ahead and create some tree trunks. And so these will not go to the top of the canvas, but almost to the top. And these are going to be in our background area. You can create as few or as many of these as you'd like. And ignore that thing in the middle. I think I ended up going over that and painting that over. It just ended up taking off the paint. Grabbing some burnt sienna, I'm going to go now in on the trees and just highlight the center trees and the middle trees and even the far trees. And then going back to my violet or dioxazine purple and burnt sienna, I'm going to go ahead and darken the outside of the trees again to shadow them. Grabbing some primary red, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the inner side of the tree just to add a little bit more color to the canvas. Grabbing my size 8 filbert flat brush, which is a nylon soft bristle, not soft, but flimsy brush. I'm going to go into my hunter green, and I'm just going to tap in some foliage here. Just tap, tap, tap all around the trees. each and every single one of them. Next, grabbing some titanium white and some lime green, as well as some of that hunter green, and just tap in some highlights just on the inside of the trees where the light would be hitting them. And now we're going to grab some titanium white and just that lime green, and we're just going to add those final highlights on the very far left side of the right trees and the very right side of the left trees. Next, we're going to take a mixture of titanium white and a little bit of black as well as some burnt sienna and create some additional tree trunks that are closer towards us, so they'll be longer or taller in size. Again, you can add as many or as few of these as you'd like. Starting with some titanium white and that hunter green, I'm going to mix those together and create some foliage on each one of these trees. Switching over to my size 2 flat brush, I'm going to go ahead and tap into some titanium white and some burnt sienna, and I'm going to go ahead and go over these tree trunks again so that they stand out a bit brighter. Using some primary red, I'm just going to go over the left side of the right trees and the right side of the left trees just to create a highlight and some more rich color in my painting. Most of this, again, will be covered by the fairies, so don't worry too much about this. Grabbing your titanium white and some lime green, just go ahead and add some highlights and just tap this in all different directions. You can also use a fan brush, which would probably look a lot better than what I am doing right now. In order to create a darker low light, I'm going to use some dioxazine purple and some of that hunter green, mix those together, and go over the shadowed area of the trees. Next, rinse off your brush, and then we're going to grab some titanium white and work on that center area again where the sun is setting, or maybe the moon is setting. I'm not really sure which one. Either way, just paint this in white. You can skip ahead after this step and just start painting in the fairy at this point because basically it does not matter. But you can add some lemon yellow to your canvas as well, and then just paint in this sunny area or this moonlit area like I'm doing. Grabbing some burnt sienna, we're going to now painting some additional trees that will be more in the foreground area that go all the way to the top of the canvas. In fact, we'll paint one tree all the way down to the bottom, which is going to go to the far right side of the canvas. Grabbing some dioxazine purple, I'm just going to add a shadow to this side of the tree that is shadowed. Using my size 8 flat brush, I'm going to go ahead and dip into that hunter green and just paint in the dark grass in the foreground of the canvas. This will need to be painted several times since the base of our canvas was black, and so our colors will appear very dark on top of these. Regardless of how many times you layer them, you'll need to layer them more than expected. Going back to our size 2 flat brush, I'm going to grab some hunter green and I'm just going to paint in the grasslands in the background. These won't be as detailed as those in the foreground, so we're just going to scumble in some paint back here. Keeping in mind that the pathway will be the most lit up area of the canvas and the edges will be dark, so we'll create like a vignette-like effect, which we can also enhance with dioxazine purple, which we do in the end of the painting. Once you've painted the grass on the background forest farthest from the light source, grab some dioxazine purple and even darken that a bit more. This is an afterthought, I'm sorry. Like I said, this is from my imagination, so I'm painting it as these thoughts come to me, not as a planned out painting. Just continue following the colors that I use and the areas that I choose to use them, and you'll be fine. Now we'll grab some light permanent green and we're just going to highlight some of the area towards the path with this medium shade green. It is a cooler shade green, just thought you'd like to know that. Next, grabbing our size 2 fan brush, we're going to dip into our light permanent green and create some grass-like textures. So just tapping and sometimes flicking our paintbrush, but for now we're just tapping because these are going to be short little grass strands. So just tap, tap, tap all along the inside of the canvas, or like along the pathway of the canvas, or the pathway of the painting, I'm sorry. Next we're going to tap into our lime green and we're going to paint that pathway, or along the pathway, which is the most brightest part of the path. As we all know, acrylic paint do dry darker than when you actually apply them, so we're going to go over them with another shade of that lime green color. So just tap, 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 just along the path for the lightest areas. And then we'll do little strokes up and down for the grass along this little hillside that we've created. Just along the top. And then back into our hunter green, and we're just going to shadow in some of these other areas in the forest. Going back to that lime green shade, we're going to create the grass, the strokes from down to up along the hill on the left side now. So just create some grassy strands over here, staying more focused towards the top of the hill and along the pathway. And feel free to go over your other strokes again, as you will need multiple layers to create a bright color. Using that same dirty brush, go ahead and grab some hunter green and then tap in some darker grasses on the back side of the hill. Next, grabbing some lime green, we're going to create that median area right in the middle of the hill where it starts to go down, just creating a mid-tone right there on both sides of the hills. After realizing how botchy my trees looked, I decided to go in with some green colors and fix up the trees using my fan brush, which we should have done to begin off with, but that is what it is. Dipping into my hunter green and some diacetyl purple, I am now going to create that dark green shade that we began off with for the shadowed area of the trees, and we're going to paint our bigger trees in the foreground as evergreen trees. So just use your fan brush to create these downward sloping leaves or shape of the tree. And so I'm just creating this on both sides, and then we'll add the highlights afterwards. After cleaning off my brush, I'm going to dip into that light green permanent along with some hunter green just to mix those two together, and we're going to go ahead and add a mid-tone to the tree, basically starting towards the center of the tree and keeping it around there, and then we'll add the highlights to the inside of the tree, or the tree that's facing the pathway. Next, we're going to take some lime green, I don't know why I keep calling that, and some lemon yellow, create our highlight shade, and go towards or highlight the limbs that are facing the pathway, that are the brightest side of the tree, to create a real bright highlight. Now that we're done our evergreens, we're just going to add another tree here, or the limbs to our tree on the far right side. So we're going to grab that diacetyl purple and hunter green and just create some random leaves along the tree, switching our brush around all sorts of ways, so twisting and turning it and tapping it, and then we'll add the limbs afterwards. You could even go darker with just diacetyl purple if you wanted to for the shadow color, but now we're going to add the medium color, or the mid-tone, with that lime green shade. So go ahead and tap that in where you think some highlights might hit, and then we'll go in further and highlight this more. As you can see, it just looks like a big mess right now, so a lot of what we did previously didn't really matter, unfortunately, but we will soon get to our nymph. So go ahead and add these highlights, we'll add some twigs in, and then we can start our nymph. Grabbing our size 2 angular brush, we're going to go ahead and dip into some burnt sienna and create some limbs for these trees. And also the trunks as well. After I was done this, you can see that I added a little bit of titanium white and lemon yellow to the little moon or sunset that we had, and then I went in with the light white and phthalo blue to create that gradient. You don't have to do this, as our nymph will be right over this, so I'm just going to skip this part. Once you've rinsed off your brush real well, we're going to go ahead and add some titanium white to some gold. If you don't have gold, you can use a yellow ochre, or even, you can use any color that you like for your nymph. I just chose to make her gold, but in order to get the gold to show up, we need to add some white to that. You can even start off with white and then paint it whatever color you'd like. So I'm going to start off with the head, and then create a neck and scoop into the shoulders. Now keep in mind, this is the back side of the nymph, so the wings are going to cover most of the body, so you don't have to worry too much about the body. So I'm just creating some arms, which I later had to change the direction of so that you could see them. So you can either follow me along or just wait till I draw in the wings and then fix the arms, or basically just draw in the body, so the shoulders, the back side, and then the legs, and then you can add in the wings and then determine where you want your arms. Once I completed the shape of the body in white and gold, I then decided to go over it in just gold itself. Once you're done painting in your figure with gold, we're going to go ahead and start creating the wings with titanium white. We're going to let that dry and then go over those in gold as well. So we're going to scoop upwards and out, and then downwards and in. And these will have 4 wings, so 2 up around the shoulders and then 2 more around the lower back area. If you decide that your wing needs to be larger by any chance, like mine, I know it looks correct in this angle, but it's not correct. You can just go over it again with white and then clean up anything that you have messed up, as long as it's dry in the background. If it's not, don't worry about it because we'll be painting over it anyway. For the colors of the fairy, I decided to add all sorts of colors, including luminous lemon, luminous red, luminous ochre, luminous rose, luminous orange, rouge or deep violet, luminous yellow, as well as phthalo blue, and then gold. I have ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, turquoise, aqua, rouge, and titanium white. And you can add any colors that you'd like. It's really up to you. Starting with my size 2 angular brush, I'm taking gold and I'm just going over the wings that we had previously painted in. It'll take several coats of gold in order for this to show up properly, so be patient and just keep adding several coats of gold. Taking black, I thought this was phthalo blue, my apologies. I just created a crown, so I just have an idea of what I want to paint for my little nymph, my tree nymph, or my forest nymph, so that's just going to be a crown. Next I'm going to add scarlet and deep crimson hue to my palette, and I'm going to start with the deep crimson hue, which I later realized I needed titanium white with it because it's quite transparent in color, but I was going to do red for the hair, so I was going to create this deep shade of red to begin with and then add highlights of the scarlet and the luminous red to really highlight the hair colors. Once I had most of the hair in, I decided to get a little wild with the hair since she'd be flying, but then I realized that I haven't painted the wings in yet, so you might want to wait on this. Don't go crazy with the hair yet until you're done with the wings. Next, taking my size 6 small filbert brush, I'm going to tap into some titanium white and some water. And I really want to create a transparent little dress or skirt for the nymph. So in order to do that, in order for it to look transparent, you really need a very light coat of white. You don't want it to be very opaque. And you can either leave this white or you can add coats of color to it, which I later do. It's really up to you. But you want to make sure that the back side of the nymph is obviously opaque and covered. Taking a little more titanium white, I decided to add some arm straps to it. You can do this if you'd like, but you don't have to. After rinsing off your brush, grab some more gold, and we're just going to outline the wings again very quickly. Once you're done that, rinse off your brush and grab some turquoise blue, And we're just going to go along the inside of the gold. And these two colors really complement each other and look really pretty together. And after the turquoise, we're going to add some aqua in there. And it's just going to be really beautiful in colors. And I'm really excited for you guys to see it. After that, we're going to go back to the white and we're going to draw those little veins or those little lines that are inside the wings. And you can do this, I'm using titanium white obviously for the color, and then we can go over the color with anything that you'd like. But for my brush, I'm still using my filbert brush, my size 8 small filbert brush. You can use a liner brush, you can use a flat brush, you can use any brush that you're really comfortable with. It's really up to you. As for the design, I'm just interlooping some lines here and there. I looked at some photographs on the internet and then just chose a few that I liked in design and kind of went from there. You can design these any way that you'd like actually, so it's really up to you. Once you're done with that, go ahead and grab some more titanium white. You might want to rinse off your brush just so that you can get a clean line. As long as you heat the paint on the tip of your brush, you really should have no problem with this. For now, we're going to move on to the lower wings, which have a similar design, yet slightly different, I guess. Once you're done designing the lines within your wings, you can go over them again with titanium white using the same technique, or you can switch brushes if it's easier for you. I'm now just going to bring the wings connected to the back of her shoulders. So I'm just painting those in and finishing in the lines because her arms would be in front of the wings, not behind them. Just keep that in mind. So now after rinsing off my brush, I'm going to grab some gold and go over these lines, which may still be white. I mean wet, not white. But yeah, they may still be wet, so just be careful. If they are still wet, you can wait a minute and let them dry. You can use a hair dryer to dry them off. But if they're not wet and they're dry, go ahead and paint them over with gold. Once you've done your first layer, go ahead and rinse off your brush and go ahead and pick up that aqua I was talking about earlier and go between the gold and the turquoise and just add in that aqua color, and it really makes a beautiful looking wing, I think, personally. You can use any color you'd like, of course. I just thought between the red hair and the gold wings that this aqua and turquoise color would really complement each other with the gold. And now I'm going around the crown with titanium white, which I'll then go over with gold. I don't know why I started with black. It was just a thought process, I guess. So now I'm switching over to my size 8 filbert brush, and I'm getting some white with some water. I really want this to be sheer, and make sure your wings are dry before doing this, and we're just going to paint them in to create a sheath-like look. We really want these to be see-through, transparent, not completely covered. So use a generous amount of water, but you don't want it dripping, and a little bit of titanium white. We're later going to go in with some colors, some neon or fluorescent colors, so get those ready to go. Going back to my small filbert brush, I believe it's a size 6 or 8 maybe, but it's a miniature size filbert brush. I'm going to take gold and go back over the wings of the nymph. We'll go over this many times because we'll need lots of layers in order for this gold to really show up and be really bold in color. After you've done that, go ahead and rinse off your brush and grab some more aqua and add in that aqua color again. Once you're done with that, go ahead and rinse out your brush. I'm going to dip into some titanium white and some luminous rose, and we're going to mix that together and keep this light. So you want to add some water to this, and we want this to be transparent-ish in color, and I'm just going to create like a sheen sort of look, so you don't want it completely filled with color, but just a little bit of color. And after that, you can add any sort of color that you'd like to add. And so now I'm going to add in titanium white with a little bit of luminous yellow, and you can see that it's a little bit of opaque, and you can always fix that, so don't worry about that. You can just take some of it off if need be. And now I'm going to go in with some phthalo blue and titanium white. I would even recommend going in with color, with just the paint color and water, and go over what's already there. Adding additional white actually made it more opaque than I wanted it to be, unfortunately, but you live and you learn, right? So continuing on, I just added some more rose and white. I would skip the white if you could. Now I'm adding luminous pink or opera and white, and I'm just adding this all around, trying to give it an iridescent sort of look, or a pixie sort of look. I really want it to look whimsical, so now I'm going in with some aqua and some white and some luminous lemon. I really wish at this point I did not add more white to this color because it's really making it opaque, but it's okay. I was really happy with the end result either way. Going back to my phthalo blue and titanium white with a little bit of the lemon yellow to get this nice green color. I'm just adding in some green now. I'm trying to add all the colors of the rainbow. I think I only forgot purple, which actually you could actually add quinacridone purple, and that is transparent in itself, so you could just add a little water to that, mix that up, and add that to anywhere along the wings if you'd like. Now I'm just doing luminous yellow alone, which I should have done with all the colors, and going back to some green, adding in some more green. And you can add this however which way you'd like, and you can continue until you're satisfied. Going back to my mini filbert brush, my size 6 I believe, I'm just going back over the veins of the wings to make them stand out a little bit better. If you're not satisfied with your wings, you can add a bit more flare color to them. But after that, go ahead and add some gold to the white part of the wings, or the veins of the wings. And once you're done with the gold, go ahead and take some cobalt blue, and we're just gonna go underneath each of the gold sections, and this is really gonna bring out that gold and just add a little bit of a shadow to each of the veins. And then once again, rinse off your brush, grab some gold, and outline the wings another time. Once you're done outlining your wings, go ahead and rinse off your brush and tap into that deep crimson hue, and we're going to add these shadows to the hair of the little nymph. Since crimson is quite opaque, we're just adding it to the color already there. Then we're going to add some white to the aqua color and add that to the bottom little skirt, or tulle skirt sort of thing, tutu if you will. And next we're going to add some turquoise and titanium white to create a shadow for the underneath portion of it. So don't fill the entire skirt, you still want some of that aqua to show through. So I'm going to take some titanium white and some opera and some rose and add that on top of the skirt. And don't worry if it goes over the blue because it'll create a beautiful purple color. So now we're going to take some phthalo blue and some of that luminous opera and create a deep purple color that's really pretty. I really love this color here. I'm going to add some white, add some more pink to it. I really want this bright pinky purple color. And then we'll add that to the skirt as well. You can add any color, any shade that you'd like. It's really up to you. Going back to the hair, we're going to grab some scarlet and start adding some highlights to our hair. If you choose to, you can also add hair behind the wings. I just chose not to. Then I'm taking some turquoise and going around the wings again, just to outline them for a bit more definition. Once you're done with the turquoise, go ahead and add your teal. And once you're done with that, rinse off your brush, grab some titanium white, and we're just going to add some arms below the wings just so that it looks like she has some arms and she's not just a fairy with some legs. So for the left arm, I'm basically drawing down a bit of the upper arm, then the elbow, and then the forearm with a cupped hand. And on the right side, I'm drawing the forearm with the cupped hand connected to a little bit of the elbow and the upper arm. With a clean brush, I'm going to grab some luminous red and highlight her hair again. And once you're satisfied with that, go ahead and grab some of your deep crimson hue and add in some low lights or some shadows to the hair. Rinse off your brush, grab some cobalt blue, and you can add some more shadows to the little fairy dress, if you will. And then I'm going to rinse off my brush, grab some gold, and we're going to work on the crown. So just go over that white part with the gold. And then we're going to add some twinkles above it, or maybe some jewels with some titanium white and some luminous yellow, and even maybe some luminous lemon. And basically I started out drawing up like a flame-like thing, which I didn't end up liking, so I reduced that down a bit and just created some gems. So you can just scumble that off and then replace it with some dots afterwards. But I'm just going over the crown again with some gold, grabbing that luminous lemon and titanium white this time, and adding some jewels, which are just some dots on top of the crown. Switching off to my size 2 filbert brush, I'm going to create these little dots a lot smaller, or these gems, and I'm going to maybe tier them. So I'll put 3 on the center and then 2 on the ones next to it, on the left and the right side of it, and then maybe 1 on the remaining ones. But we'll get to that eventually. For now, I grab some more gold, and I'm just going over the little veins of the fairy wings. And once you're done with that, rinse off your brush, grab some luminous red again, and then go over the highlights of the hair. This will take several layers, as these colors, in order for them to be that luminous, you need to layer them multiple times, which we're obviously learning in this painting. Rinse off your brush, grab some more of that crimson, that deep crimson hue, and add some more of those shadow colors to the hair. Now we're going to take some titanium white with some lemon yellow and go back to the crown and add in those gemstones. And tiering 3 on the first or the center one in the front side, 2 next to them, and to the ones to the left and to the right of those, and then 1 on the leftover ones. Then I'm going to take some gold and fill in the arms and the hands that we created. And then rinse off your brush, grab some cobalt blue, and just separate the arms from the wing structure. This is just going to create a little shadow that just needs to be there. Again, grab some more gold and fill in the arms and hands again. Then you can grab some purple, and we're now going to create a vignette-like effect just to bring it darker around the edges than it is the center. And as we wrap up this painting, I would just like to say thank you so much for watching this and being patient while I create these types of videos. I really do appreciate you guys watching this. Please remember to click that like button as it helps with the analytics. And remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Okay, bye!